But I think you're right. I think Alabama, as unfortunate as it was last year, having to play in Knoxville and Baton Rouge in a matter of 3 weeks, got the good fortune this year. I mean, they had those games at home. LSU is a terribly flawed team that can overwhelm you because of the dynamic nature of the receivers and Jaden Daniels, but they couldn't do it last night. Every time LSU did not convert, Matt, I was just marking that down as a disaster because they were, the fourth down call was just terrible. That was one. I felt like they maybe got it back at the end of the half, and then they missed the field goal. But they counted though, and those were possessions that they desperately needed, and in the end they didn't have. But if you watch the A&M game, the Tennessee game, the Ole Miss game, we've seen the template. It's hang in there, try not to get behind, and they weren't, of course, and then just literally maul the team in the second half. And that was the mantra that Nick Saban brought to Alabama at his opening press conference. He said, "We are going to overwhelm you. We are going to dominate you. By the time we get to the fourth quarter, you're going to throw up your hands and say, I've had enough."
That's it. And we were talking about it during the game, watching it last night. It was clear, and it was similar to the USC Washington game, which we'll get to later, but it was similar in that you were waiting to see who was going to break serve. It was legitimately a break serve game for both schools. Like, it was back and forth, who was going to force a punt, who was going to make a play defensively, who was going to make a stop. And Alabama in the second half started to do that. And when you brought up the fourth down play, not the conversion that LSU had, it goes back to, why are we simply just handing teams momentum?
I don't understand.
I just don't. I don't. Why are we handing teams momentum in college football now?
You've got a really good quarterback. I don't care if you got Tom Brady. It's still a lot of things can go wrong. Where you've got to. There were some really questionable decisions on the LSU side, but hey, it's only their third loss of the season. They still got a bowl game ahead.
Yeah, I want to do that for a minute because you and I both really like Brian Kelly. I think he is really got that thing headed in the right direction. I think they were a year ahead last year, which gave some people some hope. I had him in the college football playoff this year, so I was dead wrong. No, now this is an obituary on their SEC championship hopes this year. How would you assess this LSU team now that we know they won't be playing for the SEC title?
I think a collage of mistakes have been made there. From, I think, designing the defense early on, playing with Harold Perkins, maybe costing them the Florida State game, maybe not. That game, we knew that would be a brawl, but losing the losing the Ole Miss game, they probably shouldn't have lost that game. But they were flawed. Brian Kelly told me last Monday, and you can take this, but I took it seriously. He said, really, right now we don't have the players to compete with Georgia and Alabama, and he's telling the truth. And it's on the defensive side, and there's just too many holes, and they've had injuries, and it was just a collection of things. And I really don't think it would have mattered if Jaden Daniels had been in there for the final play of the game.
Give me something.